Wow. Good evening, everyone. I'm impressed to see so many people out on a rainy night. Thank you so much. My name's Jenelle Riley, and thank you so much for coming out for this Q&A with I'm Not Here. At this time, please join me in welcoming three people who helped put this movie together. First, I want to introduce the film's director of photography. He has been a DP on over 70 films, including Three Geezers, which he worked with our other two guests on. Please welcome Pietro Villani. Also joining us is the film's co-writer and director. In addition to being an accomplished actress on stage and screen, she is the director of several shorts in the aforementioned film Three Geezers. Please welcome Michelle Schumacher. Also joining us is one of the film's stars. You've seen him in everything from the Spider-Man movies to Oz to Whiplash, for which they had to actually create new awards to give him because he won everything else, including a SAG award. Thank you all. Please welcome J.K.Simmons. Thank you all so much for being here. Congratulations on a beautiful movie. Because this is an audience of actors, I actually always like to start by asking, and I know at least two of you are actors, and maybe you'll surprise me.
Oh, I hope not.
That would surprise me.
How did you get your SAG card?
That's you.
I got my SAG card for a movie that I was not in.
I kind of remember this. What was it?
I was hired to do a basically sort of glorified background, but it was technically a day player in Wall Street, to be in a locker room scene, but like just be some random dude, and I had to have my SAG card to do it, so I went and spent all that money that I could barely afford because I was a theater actor in New York, and then of course, as happens oftentimes, the date changed and they pushed it back, a week or whatever, and I was like, I'm in Pennsylvania doing a play, I can't,
Wow.
So I got my SAG card, and it was like 3 years before I got a SAG job.
You're kidding. What was the first SAG job?
That's a good question. Oh, it was a TV movie called Popeye Doyle.
Oh.
One day, one scene, and I was really kind of miffed because in the credits I was called Patrolman in Park. On my resume, it was Officer Miller because I had a name tag with a name on it, and I was like, yeah. So with Ed O'Neill playing the Gene Hackman part, yeah. And he was a prince, by the way, to a little peon day player. It was nice.
I love that. Michelle, for you?
I don't remember. I did something on a commercial, but I do remember one of the first things I got after getting my card was I was the acrobatic elf in the remake of Miracle on 34th Street in New York.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
And you got extra because I was doing acro, so I was really happy about that because it was expensive to get my card. But yeah, I'd been doing mostly equity before that.
Well, you were in Cats, correct?
I had Cats, and we met doing Peter Pan, and yeah.
Oh, who were you guys in Peter Pan?
Well, I guess that is legitimate. But I was Captain Hook, and she was Tiger Lily.
I was Tiger Lily.
That's
Pirates and Indians.
When Kathy Rigby was playing Peter Pan.
Wow, that was huge. By the way, Cats is making a big comeback. I don't know if
it is.
It's everywhere.
They redid some of the choreography, I think,
but
it's mostly the same.
They have the movie coming out. It's a big running joke on Kimmy Schmidt and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
And
a friend of ours is doing the movie, in London, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So now this is where you reveal that you secretly...
no SAG card.
No SAG card. Well, what was your first job in the business?
It was a movie called Dream Parlor. It was a little indie, and I was in college, and they go, hey, you want to, we got this movie we're doing. We need guys to come help. And I did that, and ever since I've been working. It bit me.
70 films later.
Wow.
And awards and Three Geezers.
What was the job on Dream Parlor? Because I don't imagine you started off in cinematography.
No. I was just either a grip or electric on it, or either probably was both. It was like this little indie that these guys like maxed their credit card out. It was in the early '90s, so that's what everybody did. So
that's what they're still doing.
Yeah, and they're still doing it. Yep.
And which brings us to our next question. No, people always want to know about financing and shooting schedules, and I don't know how much you're allowed to reveal, but this was done on an indie budget. How many days did you have to shoot?
What did we do, 19, 20? It might have been 20 because we actually had Ian Armitage, who plays the young version of Steve, and he was so. This has been a very long process because it truly is a true indie film. Mm-hmm. So this has been 3 years in the making for me, writing it, and I interviewed Ian pre-Young Sheldon, and he shot this pre-Young Sheldon, and he is the most amazing kid, the most amazing actor. And when I interviewed him, I was like, there's nobody else that can possibly. Actually, he looks like a picture of J.K. when J.K. was that age. He came in, he was brilliant. He looks like him. He was the nicest kid in the world. His family's awesome. But he was doing Big Little Lies. So we had to take him in second position. And I said, you know what? We have no money. We're a true indie, but I have to have this kid. Yeah. So we lost only 1 day to Big Little. HBO took him for 1 day. So we had to add. So it would have been 19, I think, or it 19 or 20, somewhere in there. But
that is amazing.
And really, the two most in-demand actors in the film were Ian and Jeremy Maguire, who plays a 3-year-old. because Michelle realized once she saw both of those kids, this has to be the kid.
Yeah.
And Ian was doing Big Little Lies, and she was like, okay, well, what about this 3-year-old kid? We got him right. And said, well, yeah, he's on Modern Family. So we're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And you can only work them for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they were both. Jeremy's going to be a director, so everybody here get to know Jeremy, because Jeremy knew everyone's lines, and when anyone would not know their lines, after cut, Jeremy would go, Micah, you forgot to say it. He'd tell Micah what she forgot to say. And we're like, thank you, Jeremy. The kid's brilliant. And he was 4 years old.
Oh, my God.
He was 4 years old when we shot that.
4.
That's
playing
amazing.
3, though.
Oops, maybe he's lying about his age. I don't know.
It starts young, yeah. I actually want to start at the beginning with the movie. I know you co-wrote this with your writing partner, Tony Cummings. What interested you in telling this story? Specifically, you're tackling addiction, but also this idea that, what people choose to surround themselves with, what are in their homes, can spark memories or be these bellwethers, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. There were a lot of reasons why we wrote this. The two main was what you were saying about addiction and choices that we make, which we showed through. I always found it interesting when you go into somebody's home. I think you can really tell a lot about a person by how they have their home, whether it's. And not to judge the book by its cover, but I do sometimes, like if you see a lot of their children's art on the wall, or if you see, you can just kind of tell a lot, or what they choose to keep, like what's important, right? Because we keep some things, souvenirs or mementos, but most things we don't. So that's how he flashes back and connects those dots to find out what choices he made to get to where he is today. But then also the patterns of we as humans do, because we kind of get in a pattern.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of do the same things, and we're humans are habitual by nature, and so then there's also generational patterns, oftentimes because of addiction or other family. I think there's sort of a family patterns that happen, and sometimes it takes someone to finally break whatever that family pattern is. So there's that, but then we're really interested in quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and the idea of quantum entanglement, and what would that look like not in a superhero kind of green screen kind of a way, but what would that look like in real life if we could actually really understand what that is, that idea of infinite possibilities and quantum entanglement. And we will get there someday. What would that look like in a real life? Mm-hmm. And what if we had that moment of, in this brief moment of infinite possibilities before everything collapses into one reality, what if we actually could make those choices that we want to make and change past, present, future,
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
And these ideas you're talking about, I think a lot of people expect it to be a $150 million studio movie with lots of special effects, but you took it to a much more personal level.
Yeah, well, that's what, because I thought I love the idea of that. You know, I love. Doctor Strange was it's so interesting that, but I thought
we did it for half the money.
We did it. Oh,
At least half, I hope. Yeah.
Move that decimal point a little bit further. What would that be like? There was a movie a long time ago. What the bleep do we know? And I don't know if any of you seen that. I loved it because I just thought, the idea of. Like we couldn't even see the pilgrims coming, the Nina Pinta and Santa Maria. Oh God, school. It's been a long time. But we couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
Because our brains didn't know anything like that until the wise man saw them, and then they were able to, and then they could see it. They literally couldn't see it. So it's just so interesting and exciting to what is the future of quantum physics and quantum entanglement, and I hope I'm around for it. I hope I'm around for that when we learn more and more and more, and that power and that presence.
And J.K., at what point did you sort of know she was writing this, and did you start bugging her for a role, or did she write it with you in
constantly
mind?
Pestering her for what I get to do next. No, I mean I knew she and Tony were talking about this, and she was talking to me about this. For a long time before they even really sat down and seriously started putting it together. And then I didn't really see. I mean, we spoke about it obviously. Occasionally, when they would make a breakthrough, or they would be stuck for a while, or they would, and she would share with me. But I wasn't like reading, as they were going. I didn't read it really until she had a pretty close to a production draft. And I will always remember reading it in bed that night and just being, blown away. Just. So I was, and then I said, "Can I play this guy?"
Did you really say that?
And she said, "Yeah, well, we're gonna have some casting sessions."
And Pietro, you worked with them previously, at least on one movie. Was it also sort of a no-brainer, or was it something about the script that spoke to you?
Well, we did Geezers. A lot different film. Well, first of all, we had a lot of conversations. Like, we talked probably about a year before. Like, we'd like, hey, send a photo or an idea, or she'd say, hey, I did this, I did that. I don't know if I really read it early on. I mean, I didn't wait till the end to read because it did change.
The end of the shoot, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's usually when I read them. It makes it more interesting to shoot that way. So it was very interesting and deep. So a lot of movies these days are surface movies, I call them. So it was very deep, and it's a lot more interesting to lens and make a movie when it's deep.
Also, we collaborated very early on because I wanted to only give sort of the flavor of the 60s, the flavor of the 80s, the flavor of because I wanted it to have really one film look, but know instantly what time period you were in. But I didn't want it to be really heavy-handed in that, Plus, that goes along with the idea of time not being linear, being more stacked. So hopefully, people immediately get the time periods based on the lens choices. And we did do. You want to talk about the lenses? Or?
Yeah. So the earlier periods is totally different lenses. It's actually two sets of lenses, but then in lighting we also did stuff too, where it's like. Because that was one of the things we did talk about early on is we don't want it to be like this, oh, should we go to black and white for the flashback? We didn't want that. We wanted it to be seamless, but you get a feeling of the other time period. You know what I mean? So, we used vintage lenses. They were Panavision lenses, vintage. And I even had the Primos, which I'm probably getting too technical here, but there's a set of Primos. Those I had them tweaked for the look in the later it's like 3 periods. So they all had a distinct look, but not too crazy.
How did you tweak them?
You can go in and actually, when you go to a place like Panavision, they'll tweak the lens for you. I put the lenses, this is probably getting heavy again. The lenses are all put up on a bench and projected. That's the way they used to always do that. You can't do that at any other place. You know, there's only a few houses you could do that. So I basically went in. Michelle, she came with me. We kind of picked the lens that, like, you know, I had some choices for her. We picked this one lens. I went in. I matched the whole set by my eyes. It took me a whole day, and then we went. You know, after we picked this is the look we want. I want to match this lens. And we went, and then I matched that to the one we picked.
Wow.
So it was very laborious.
And is this for shooting on digital, or did you shoot on film?
It's digital.
It is digital.
It's Alexa.
Okay. That's what I figured.
Yeah, we shot Alexa.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, digital filmmaking has opened the door, I think, to so many movies that just wouldn't even get made, you know, which is not to say it's cheap, but it's cheaper.
It's all relative.
I actually want to talk about this amazing cast. You talked about, you know, the young actors, but I don't even know where to begin because you have all my favorite people, from Mandy Moore to Micah Monroe, and Sebastian Stan. I mean, like, he actually, I never realized how much you guys look alike. I know. When did you realize that?
Especially up here, which was why Michelle, you know, because we were originally, like, before Sebastian was cast, you know, we were talking about, I would just have kind of a little, like, kind of like I have right now, where I just kind of hadn't shaved for a while, you know. But once we realized that our, you know, we do have a similar look, but the shape of my jaw is very different from his, she was like, you know, let's cover that shit up.
Not my exact words.
No, it was kind of shocking. I was like, that's really...
Because Sebastian has, the only thing is he's got that square jaw.
Very, yeah.
You know, and his is more oval. So truly, I think that the beard masks it enough that they really do. And Ian too, the three of them together. And I should post this. I have a picture of the three of them during one of the shoot days, sitting, just hanging out together. Yeah. And it's like, it could be, you know, that's it. It's amazing.
That's such a common sense thing that you so often see. It's one of my growing list of pet peeves that you see in films, whether it's a biopic or whatever, a film that tells, you know, you have three different actors playing the same character, you know, and you go, dude, this kid's got brown eyes. Is he wearing contacts the rest of his life? I mean, you know, and the physical similarity between us was, you know, and fortunately she was able to get, you know, two, like, really great actors to play the 20-something and the 5-year-old.
I mean, and, you know, in the last year and a half, I think people have really become aware of what a great character actor Sebastian Stan is. But this was before that. I mean...
Again, I lucked out. I mean, Tanya, he was awesome in that. I mean,
and he's great in Destroyer.
He's really, he's a good-looking guy, so I think a lot of times people, you know, but I mean, because he hit in the Marvel movie, and people oftentimes, he's a really good actor, and he really cares about. He was drawn to this as all of them were actually the characters. They wanted to do you know. I mean, Mandy Moore is the wife in the '60s, you know, and Max actually.
Oh yeah, Max Greenfield is amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And he actually came in for Adam, the sidekick friend, you know. And I was like, would you play the dad? And he said, I would love to play. You know, it's a different part for him than most people see him, and. I just really, I met with all the actors we interviewed, and they all loved the text, the script, and they either knew somebody with this addiction or that, and they all just sort of were like, this is kind of an important story to them to tell, and they liked the ideas behind it. So I was so fortunate to get them. All of them.
Did you confer with Sebastian at all to sort of talk about, like, the continuity of this character, or did you?
Yeah, we did actually. Right after he, you know, agreed to come on board, the three of us got on a, you know, Skype call. I forget where he was, and then we met together in person multiple times, and then when you know, and the three of us, or just, you know, Sebastian and I a couple times would just talk about, and he really worked so hard and so specifically and so subtly to have just little elements of my mannerisms, you know, as he played the character, and I really had the easy part because both in story order and in the order in which we shot the movie, my 5 days were the last 5 days of the shoot. So Sebastian's work was done, Ian's work was done, and I have been able to spend some time on set hanging out with them and watching them work, and then seeing some footage too. So to the extent that I was informed by their work, that was helpful too.
Was it difficult to be doing your scenes? Because mostly it's you kind of alone in a room, and I know obviously you're not alone there. Obviously Pete is there at least, but what is it sort of like?
He was actually banned from the set by the time I got there.
But what is it like when you sort of don't have an acting partner? Have you had that challenge before?
Well, I mean, in smaller ways, certainly not, for virtually the duration of my part of the movie. But it was, because, as with every project that I look back on fondly, it started on the page, and because everything I did soundlessly, was coming from somewhere and was going somewhere. It just flowed, very, very naturally.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's nice not having a scene partner, I bet.
Oh, no, actors are a pain in the
They're
ass.
The worst,
I mean, we know that, right?
Yeah.
So,
in counterpart, you're acting opposite yourself.
That guy was a real pain in the ass, yeah.
Well, you might have just answered this, but for each of you, what did end up being the biggest challenge of this movie from a logistical or emotional standpoint?
Yeah, I guess there's a long list. I mean, it was, this is a prime example to me of why I'm only doing the one thing I do, because to see someone like Michelle who goes, who starts, putting a pencil on paper, figuratively, and ends up editing every frame of the movie, herself, and wears all the different producer and then obviously director hats during the shoot. It's such an all-consuming thing for her, and was for 3 years. Whereas, for a schmuck like me, who just, especially when I don't have any lines, I mean, to an extent, it's just, I mean, my job is simple. Our jobs as actors, not simple, but straightforward, uncomplicated in a way. We have one thing to do, and I know a lot of people in this room probably also write and direct and do other things, and like grown-ups, I don't. I only act. So I'm always I always have great admiration for people who have their hand involved in such multiple aspects of the storytelling process.
And what about for you guys? I think the hardest thing for me was just exhaustion. We had we shot. We were supposed to have 5 days on, 2 days off, but we ended up because of losing Ian for that day, and then we still shot the day that he was. We had cover scenes, but I think we ended up doing 2 6-day weeks and then a week plus or something. But so it was exhausting because you don't shut off when we would stay after. We were the first ones in and always the last ones out. And even when everyone was let go, the scene in the bathroom mirror, we were going to do that like the only thing. We were going to do green screen. We're like, how do we do this? What do we do? The night before we were going to shoot that, you, me, my writing partner Tony, and Teru, our one of the camera operated, great. Teru's awesome. I was like, I want to do this practical, and there's this great scene in Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley. Did any of you
I know that movie backwards and forwards.
Oh my God. Okay. One of my favorites. It's a perfect film, perfectly directed.
It is.
Perfect. I mean,
the best adaptation of Jane Austen ever.
Isn't it? It's just fantastic. But there's a scene where she's looking in the mirror and Mr. Darcy comes in. That scene. So obviously they put the camera in the wall, right? And it's just so well done when he comes in. And so I was like, what we could do? We do that with the indie low budget version. So rather than building a whole wall, I took a frame. We took that frame and we hung it. Right, we hung it. And the night before, I have Teru on one side and Tony Cummings, and the two of them being J.K. and Sebastian, and we're shooting it, and we're going, could we do this? And we really wrestled with it. And finally, I went, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just do this. We shot a plate just in case, but I mean, I think it works. It's so quick, and it's
idea.
more the idea of it. It's more the idea of that crossing dimensions thing anyway. And I feel like I just liked that it was practical. So I kind of went off your question there a bit, but I was exhausted. I think for me, the hardest part was I was just tired.
Well, and we're
So tired.
going back to where we met doing theater. We like those theater hours.
Yes.
We like
the
that. You
best.
go to work at 7:30 p.m. You have dinner at 11:30 p.m. and you sleep until noon. We're still not natural film hours kind of people.
And Pete, for you?
It's always a challenge. You say 20 days, you think that's a lot, but it's not, especially
not.
with the when you have kids, because your days get shortened. I mean, as a cameraman,
I thought you were talking about your kids.
Yeah, yes.
Or our kids, but
especially on a film like this, when you have actors of this caliber, you don't want the film to look cheap. So that's a challenge to live up to their talent. So, and it's not like when you got all the money in the world, there's no excuse. But no one, when you look at a film, there's not a disclaimer in the front of it. This movie was only made for this much, please excuse it. So you got to live, you got to live up to what, right? Yeah, right? There's no disclaimer. So you got to.
You're compared with, we are being compared with every other, 30, 40, 50, $100 million film out there.
Yeah, we're opening the same night as Captain Marvel, so.
But we're nowhere near that.
So that's the challenge, is to make it live up to what's on the paper and what the actors are doing. So, because
every day was the toughest day for you. Everything about it was the toughest thing for you.
I mean, it's like one of my favorite movies, Pulp Fiction. I think it looks like crap. I hate to say that, but I think it's a great film. It just wasn't. It's not the lighting is not that great.
It has not aged well. I saw it recently.
But you know what?
You're right.
I think it's his best film.
Yeah,
I love that film.
It's
I love
great
the film.
yeah.
It's so good you forgive the other part. And
Yeah.
that's
So really, cinematography not so important.
doesn't. Well, yeah. Exactly. I mean, look at the Oscars, right?
No. All right, next question.
I actually want to take some questions from the audience. Let me see. Start with Anna. I hope I don't mispronounce anyone's name. Actually, this is for Michelle. How did you get traction and get this film from the page to production? I mean, you mentioned it took 3 years.
It took 3 years. Where is she? I'm sorry.
Anna?
Hi. Thank you for the question. Why did it took 3 years because my writing partner lives in New York. I live in LA, and we would write. A lot of writing partners, like, you take this scene, I'll take that scene. That's how they write. But we actually would literally call. I would call him. I would have my headset in, and we would write. So it took a while to write it, and it also went through a lot of different. We tried to. There's the story of the man who is dying of cirrhosis of the liver, and he's connecting the dots of his life. But we tried to layer in. We tried, and hopefully we succeeded to layer in a lot of. Not only quantum physics, but, like, again, the idea of generational stuff and behavioral stuff and other subtle stuff. So it took a long time, believe it or not, even though there's not a lot of dialogue. It took a long time to write this film, and then it took a while to get it to production because it's SAG modified low budget contract. It's very low budget. So we have 3 producers on it, including myself. So we literally did everything, and it just takes time when you don't have a huge crew. And even though you have a great crew, we had an awesome crew, but very small. So it just took a while. But I have to say, you can do it. Anyone can do it. It takes time. It just takes more time.
And then the editing process, because
editing.
Michelle did it all on her own, and not only that, then realized she had to learn new software.
I had been cutting on Final Cut, and then by the time I got it, so then I had to learn Premiere when I was cutting. But it was also because I think I did, you're so close to your baby, right? So I cut the film, and then we took a family vacation. We went away for the summer. And over that time, my brain had time to breathe again and just sort of refresh eyes and experience new, cultures. And I came back and I said, I need to cut this. I need to recut things about this. And
Yeah, at which
honestly,
point the other producers were like, "What?"
yeah. And I look at it now and I go, I need to recut again.
It's done. It's
I
out
know.
there. It's
I'm
in
like,
theaters this
okay, move
week.
forward, move forward. So I don't know. Did that answer? I hope. I don't know.
And this was kind of a family affair because one of the producers is your brother. Is that correct?
Yeah, he used to be financial guy in New York, and
Nice.
he knows budgets, he knows business.
Get one of those.
Oh,
Oh no,
so
not that he has money.
No. Well, here's the thing, and that actually goes to more even again of your question. I've blessed my brother's fantastic. He did the work of 10 producers, and his partner, Eric Radzin, who also used to work with. He was high up in Schwab. He also did the work of 10 producers. So, we were able to do a lot of things because of like I said, the talent that we had access to, which was really one. And Mary Vernew casting, she brought in the most. The interviews that I had, it was unbelievable. It was Mary, and Riva, and they brought in all these actors, and so anyway.
And also in your family, is it true your son did some of the music? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, our son, who's a music student currently in college, and really the music he contributed to this was when he was a junior in high school.
Wow!
And he well, you just saw the movie, didn't you? The whole end credits is his music. By his artist name is Grand Pseudonym. And
does he make you call him that?
Grand, come do the dishes right now.
But he also, he contributed the love theme, the beautiful piano music during the lovemaking scene with Sebastian and Micah. He did most of the sound design in the movie, like when I'm sort of stumbling around my apartment and end up falling down and hitting my head, and the sort of vertigo shot where Sebastian and I, have that momentary.
That's my favorite shot.
Yeah. That's the sound stuff that's going on in there, which you're probably not consciously aware of when you're seeing the movie, but that adds so much to it. Was our son Grand, AKA Joe Simmons, and our daughter, incidentally, who wants to be an actor, is is
She's in the club.
she's a background actor in the club scene. Yeah.
Oh, did you get her SAG card?
She did not. She is. So far, she's just doing theater and sticking with the school play and stuff. But she'll probably end up being in acting school in the fall as well.
Oh, wow. We have a question from Jeff for J.K. Who in the younger generation of actors and actresses impresses you the most?
Olivia Simmons. Well, by younger generation, I assume you mean under 60. Honestly, the first name that jumps to mind is Miles Teller. I had such a great time working with him. He's one of those guys that is always there, very very present all the time, and as I think probably everybody in this room knows, for me at least, especially as a beginning actor. Oh my God, I was so bad at it for really a long time, because partly because I didn't know how to listen. I didn't know how to listen to another actor say lines that I knew were coming. I didn't, it took me forever to learn that skill. So I think one of the reasons that Miles is a favorite of mine is that, he's, when you're talking, he's listening. And when he's talking, he makes it easy to listen to him. So.
Well, he kind of had to listen to you. You were yelling at him.
I was yelling super loud. Wasn't that hard to listen, I guess, yeah.
We have another question from, is it Jenny McAfee? McAfee. Hi. For JK, you have such an incredible body of work, and yet you don't seem overwhelmed by the media attention. Oh, this is a great question. What have you done to create that balance in your life?
Well, for a long, long time, it was easy because, I was a supporting guy doing my thing. I was very under the radar. Occasionally there would be, media requests, and I was just like, I was not comfortable doing it. I didn't want to do it, and nobody was really beating on my door all that hard.
I
to
disagree.
Do it.
I put you on a cover.
Well, that's true.
Years ago.
Yes, there were exceptions to that rule.
And you couldn't find
but
the Four
then,
Seasons, which is hilarious to me.
But then a few years ago, I did something that got tons of attention and got a lot of media attention, and we kind of went on that road. But I think the main thing that I still continue to not do, because I'm a dinosaur, is do any social media, because I at the same time that I acknowledge obviously the good aspects of that, and both business wise and personally, and how good a connection that can be for a lot of people. To me, it was just kind of a quagmire that I didn't want to get into. So the Twitterverse and the Insta and all of that is just completely foreign territory to me, and always will be. If you ever see a tweet from J.K.Simmons, it ain't
I've
me.
been following. Do people other than me tell you what people are saying about you on Twitter? Because I'm always like, Joey Kazan tweeted about him yesterday. She wants to see him do a musical because you were in Guys and Dolls. Yeah,
I'll do another musical someday. Maybe we'll do another musical someday. Well, maybe she'll direct it.
Yeah.
Occasionally,
Okay.
I'll get something from like my sister will say, "Oh, I saw this on Facebook" or something. Facebook, people still do that, right?
Oh yeah.
That's, yeah.
Even though we know they're stealing everything, we still do it.
Yeah.
And this is actually a question for everyone. Is it Kian? Kian wants to know who's someone that you'd love to work with, dead or alive, and why.
Was that the answer, Pete?
Yeah.
Again?
Really? There's a writer-director that I was just talking to my agent about this the other day. Nicole Hoffus.
Oh, God, yes.
How do you say her last name?
Hall of Center, I think.
Yeah. I did a movie with her. I was just a crew guy called Friends with Money. I think that's what it was. Yeah. And I just dug on. I think she's. I read part the script, most of it. I stole it. But I think she's interesting. I think she's a great writer. Was she up for
Yeah, she was
Oscar?
nominated for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that would be somebody.
That would be somebody. Maybe Maggie Smith.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you just don't.
That's the best.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't say anything. Maggie Smith. She's brilliant.
You've worked with everyone, I think.
I have not worked with Maggie Smith, and she stole my answer.
Oh.
No, but once you said it, no, my answer was and is I want to work with Michelle Schumacher again.
Aww. Correct answer.
But maybe we'll do a movie with Maggie Smith.
Yeah, that's right, theater.
She's doing something in London
She's doing
soon.
Yeah.
It's
She's
solo.
doing a one-woman show in
Solo.
London.
That's amazing.
84 years old and gonna learn 90 minutes
She's
of.
84.
84.
I feel was she born 50? Because all my
Oh,
life,
yeah.
she's just been this grand dame who's amazing.
Well, I was born
Angela
52,
Lansbury.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, she and Angela Lansbury. Same.
Angela Lansbury
Yeah.
is like in her 90s, and she just did Little Women and was amazing.
Yeah, she's another one I would love to work with.
Have you haven't worked with her?
No.
Okay.
I have to think, I mean, I've answered that question incorrectly at times,
Oh, no.
And somebody go, oh, yes, you did. In 1992, you were in the same episode of,
I know those people. I know that voice. Actually, well, I want to remind people the movie actually is in theaters this weekend. This is a at least 3-year journey, and now you're putting it out there for the universe. You're probably one of the first audiences to see it.
Yeah, you are.
yeah.
A year ago we were in San Diego.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
That's great.
and then another reason it took a long time is distribution. So we had offers, but when you're a true indie, they want to put their names on as producers, and they want to take the biggest chunk percentage, you couldn't possibly even recoup your funds. And so we sat down as a team and we said, hey, we could have this pretty big company their name on our movie. Wouldn't that be, or we could try this ourselves. And we decided to try this ourselves. And honestly, thank goodness because of social media, thank all these things that we don't do, but we appreciate you.
Yeah, I was going to say, unashamedly, please
thank you.
put it on the Twitterverse.
Yeah, because we don't, but thank goodness for it because you can. I was saying you can do it. So we are distributing it ourselves.
Wow.
And with Gravitas is helping through some digital platforms and we're happy about that. But a lot of this is us getting a couple PR firms together and getting it out there, doing things like this, getting Q&As. And actually the word of mouth now is quite strong, and we're really, really pleased with that because we are the little indie that could. And I'm happy to get it out there. I'm happy to have our names on it, and not I'm just happy that it's our voice and not,
20 other producers. Well, please do spread the word. I don't know if you guys have a hashtag or you have
It's just I'm not here movie, right? For any hashtag I'm not here movie. No, not the movie. I'm not here. I knew that. I'm not here the movie. And obviously, I mean, while we're doing a commercial here, it's playing at the Laemmle in Santa Monica for people who are on the west side, but it's also coming on basically every video on demand platform the same day. So
really?
your friends
great.
in wherever they are can see it as well.
Like 25 other.
And 25 other, like 25 markets, yeah.
Oh, the lonely Santa Monica.
Including Missoula, Montana.
Are you serious?
Of course, yeah. I actually just saw the alphabetical listing. Is Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, Missoula.
That's so random. You're big in Missoula, apparently.
I am.
Yes. Well, again, thank you guys so much for being a great audience. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much.